Hello folks, Anita Rao. Now, questions related to childbirth, having a family, can come up occasionally. When will you have a family? How many children will you have? Are there any children? Are there any stepchildren? Now, it used to be the case that in order for a marriage to form any close bond, it was necessary to have a child. And although this is conventionally true, it is hardly the case that a child will keep a marriage intact anymore. Yeah? However, having a child can bring a couple closer, and there are a few typical combinations where childbirth can be delayed or denied. But in the era that we live in, many people can enlist the help of medical advancements if they want children, despite the delays that they may have experienced. Yeah? So if the intent to have a family, the desire to have a family, is very strong amongst the couple, then they can still opt for medical help to do it, especially in cases where there are medical reasons for not having children, for instance. Either way, to see whether there's a delay or a denial, we can look at a number of factors. What are those factors? Let's get into that. All right, now, before I talk about the technical bit, including planets and combinations that delay childbirth, I want to point out some reasons that most commonly show up for delays and denial in childbirth. Similar to delays in marriage, career can become a priority for some people. Pursuing your life purpose can become more of a priority than having children. It can also be lifestyle choices that some people make because some people may prefer to have freedom to travel, for example. It could be that some people want to devote their life to a cause, to a calling. That does not include children. And more, we see that some people prefer to have pets rather than children and find that their need to nurture gets fulfilled there instead. So generally speaking, when we look at the following houses for childbirth. We look at the second house because it signifies family. We look at the fifth house because it's the main house for children. We look at the 11th house because it signifies gain of children and fulfillment of desire. We look at the 9th house. It doesn't play any significant role in childbirth directly, but it promotes childbirth. It's a facilitator house for childbirth, let's say. Then we see the condition of the following planets. We see Jupiter, first of all, who is considered to be the Jivkaraka and the natural significator for family and children. We also look at the Sun because the Sun is the natural 5th house significator. Mars, natural ruler of the 8th house, house of conception, sexuality. Venus, considered the female sex organ, and also the semen for men. So what are the combinations that lead to problems in either conceiving or having children? Well, if malefics like Rahu, Ketu, Saturn are in the 5th house or aspecting the 5th lord, that would be a big one. I would say see this in D1, D7, and the D9 chart. Look further at the condition of the 5th lord in the D7 and the D9. It should not be debilitated or afflicted by nodes. The 5th house of the D7 and the D9 should not be occupied by malefics, such as Rahu, Ketu, Saturn. If Rahu and Mars are closely conjunct in the 5th house, then it can indicate a past life curse and may lead to childlessness, also called Sarpadosh. D7 being the chart for seeing children, the Lagna or Lagna Lord should not be weak. The placement of the 5th Lord in barren signs, such as Gemini and Virgo, is also not good. The Sun should not be too close to the nodes or to Saturn. Also check to see if the 5th Lord goes into the enemy sign gets debilitated, combust? Or does it show up in the 6, 8, 12 angle? This can lead to loss of a child as well, through miscarriage or even through divorce. It can also lead to many delays or denial of children. Retrograde planets can give us a lot of trouble when it comes to childbirth. They can create a disinterest in having children. They can create a confusion about having children. And they can create delays in having children. And ultimately, they can force you to try several times before you're successful in having children. Especially if it's Jupiter here. They also indicate past life karma, where children had possibly brought suffering or hardship into your life. Or you could have had a difficult relationship with children. And also the Dasha sequence of both people should be reviewed, of course. Childbirth is possible during the Dasha periods of the Lagna Lord, the 5th Lord, the 7th Lord, the 9th Lord, and of course the 11th Lord. In Chara Dasha, the house where the PK planet sits can also give children when you're going through that Dasha. Now, it could be, of course, that you did not or will not get a favorable Dasha sequence when you're ready to have children or when you're trying to have children, hence the reason for delays and or no children. But again, the overall chart has to be seen because of, if your chart is overall very strong, then childbirth can come later in life with all the medical advancements that are available to us. In transit, I would say look for Jupiter and Saturn transiting or aspecting the 5th Lord or the 5th house. If Rahu or Ketu are transiting or 5th house, this can delay or even hinder childbirth. If Ketu is transiting the 5th house, then you can face some complications with a pregnancy as well. Some problematic combinations in the chart for childbirth include the 5th Lord in the nakshatra of the 8th or 12th Lord. This can cause problems. If Mars is with Jupiter or Venus in the 8th house, again, this can cause problems. If 5th Lord is in the 8th house in the nakshatra of Rahu or Mars, that can definitely cause problems. Hemming of the 5th house by malefics, for example, the 4th and 6th house contain malefics. This can hinder childbirth or create childlessness. Examine the 1st and 5th house in D1 from your Lagna. There's an easy technique called Rashi Tulia we can use here. Once you have identified the signs falling in the 1st house and the 5th house in your birth chart, check if any planet gets placed in these signs in the D7. So for instance, your Aries Lagna and Leo is your 5th house. So you have to look at which planets occupy Aries and Leo in your D7. If malefics occupy these signs in the D7, it can lead to delays or denial with children. Condition of Jupiter and Lagna Lord must be analyzed in the D1, the D7, and the D9 to get the whole picture, even if otherwise things look bleak. But these two planets are very well placed in dignity and strong. They can overcome any obstacles in their dashas or antardashas. Provided, of course, they have strength. In which signs are Jupiter, Lagna Lord, and 5th Lord placed in the D7? Place these signs back into the D1 Rashi chart. If these signs occupy the 8th or 12th house, then the concerned planets can cause the delay or denial in childbirth. In delayed childbirth, favorable dashas and transits normally come late in life. But sometimes when they come later in life, what can happen is the desire to have children fades away very naturally, yes? If the desire, however, does remain and the intent is also present, then for those who wish to have a child late in life, there is plenty of help nowadays anyway. Yeah. So that's all for now, folks. Hope you found that helpful. If you liked this video, don't forget to subscribe. Cheers. Take care.